Hello, today we're going to do a mixed media project. And what that means is that we're going to be using watercolors, markers, paper, and then a photograph down here. And so we're going to be painting and coloring and cutting and gluing for this project. So let's get started. Okay, so we need a lot of supplies for this project, but that's because we have a lot of different layers going on. So I will walk you through the major supplies, and then we might add some more as we go through the different steps. So you should have a printout of a mountain scene, okay? And then you should have a slightly longer piece of paper that's going to be our background. And you can see if you've got the right piece of paper because I've got it cut so that it fits. And then you should have another piece of paper where we will be drawing and coloring our hot air balloons. Okay, so we're going to do this in steps. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to handle the mountain scene, and then we're going to do the background, and then the last step will be the hot air balloons. Okay, so I'm going to move these out of our way. And for this step, you need a pair of scissors and your colored pencils. Okay, because what we're going to do is take this black and white drawing and we're going to give it just a hint of color. So you want to see what colors you want to put onto your scene, and you're just going to lightly, so the look of it is going to be, I don't know if you've ever seen like hand tinted landscapes or photos. You'll see that there's just a little bit of usually oil pencils, but we're just going to use our set of regular colored pencils, and we're going to do a couple of little different colors of brown, or if you want this to be green grass, you can do that. But we're going to, and we're just going to do it lightly. We just want to enhance the black and white photo a little bit. So you can put some shading in here. I'm not sure if you can see this, but you see it's just kind of coming to life a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to get out, I believe this is a southwestern scene, so we've got some rocks and more of the browns. So I'm going to add some gray to this, maybe pick up some of the lighter brown again. And it doesn't have to be solid. Again, we're just kind of giving it a hint of color on it. You can shade little parts. You can enhance some of the crevices. You can leave some in highlights. So let's see, I think I'm going to go with some black over here. Kind of pull out some of those crevices a little bit more. So we don't really want this part of it to be the focal point of our composition. What we really want is for our hot air balloons to be part of our composition, right? But we want to liven this up just a little bit. Let's see. Another color of brown. Add some of that. Okay, so what we are going to do is add just a little bit of blue up here for our sky. Or if you want it to be more like a sunset, you could add, you know, like a deep orange. It really is up to you. And we're going to color just a little ways up and kind of smooth it out just a little bit. And you can use the side of it if you want it to be less liney. And then I think I'm going to go with a deep orange, kind of blending that all in. So you see how that's kind of and maybe a little bit lighter orange, so we're sort of doing a gradation. That's not a good one. Let me try something else here. Well, I can do sort of this yellow orange. And you'll see that there's a line here that in the photo I'm going to kind of do it like that. And then we can come back with some of our previous color, just to kind of blend it out a little bit. Now when we get this on the paper, we might want to go over it and make this guy a little more vibrant, but we'll just kind of see how this is the first layer. Okay, so now the last thing we're going to do with step one is we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut the rest of the sky off. There. So what we've got is just our landscape with some subdued colors. Okay, so we're going to put that off to the side. And then we are going to pick up our background paper. And we're going to watercolor our sky, okay? And this is going to go here. So you don't have to watercolor it all the way down to the bottom, but just make sure that you check that your watercolor is going below where this piece, when it's glued on, is going to be, okay? So I've got my watercolor tubes here. So again, so you can see, I'm going to move this over here. I've got art supplies everywhere in my studio these days. Okay, let's see. We can do some different colors of blue. You can make some clouds if you would like, by just omitting. And we're just going to do a nice variation of some different blues over here. So obviously you want to use your big brush. get a piece of paper toweling. And you want this to be watery. And we're going to go back and forth. And we can blend as we're going along. And I'm going to do some clouds up here. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to take my brush and go around where those clouds are going to be, and then leave that white. And then you can blend that line out. And then I'm going to do another low, kind of skinny cloud down here. So you can make this any color you want. So I'm going to add just a little bit of a different color on here just to get some variations on my colors. And because I did the sunset, I'm going to start having some of those colors come in. As we get down by where the mountains will be. Okay, so what does that mean? That means I'm going to take some light orange. And I'm going to clean out my brush. We want some blending, but if I have a lot of blue on my brush, we're going to miss out on some of that orange hue. Getting down, and then I'm going to add a little bit of red, and you don't have to clean out your brush on that because they're pretty much in the same family, right? Keep getting stuff on my paper. See, so this is going to kind of, and this is where you can bring this over here to make sure that you've got it painted down enough. And see, I don't, so I'm going to add more red down here. Go right off the edge. I'm just going to double check that. It's looking good. And then I'm going to set this off to dry. Told you this was just a lot of little steps, right? Set that off to dry. And then we're going to get our other piece of paper out. And we need a pencil, and we're going to construct 2 or 3 hot air balloons on this. And you might say, well, Kathy, I don't know how to draw a hot air balloon. Well, they're pretty easy actually. When you start with a circle, Now we're going to do a large, a medium, and a small on here. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do, make sure that you can see me. I think I'm going to move it up here a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to draw around. There's our circle. And then I'm going to take a line from the outside, so this line is like hugging it. Okay? And then we're going to do just a box at the end. For our basket. Now you can fancy this up if you want as we work through it, but so this is going to be our, and you can, if you want, you can do some decoration here, and then you're going to erase part of your original circle. Okay, and then we're going to add some more strings, right? This is called a gondola. I think it's a gondola. I have never really had any desire to be on take a ride on a hot air balloon. Just didn't seem like a very safe thing to do for me, but okay, so then we want to do some, so we're going to take a dot here up at the top, and then we're going to do some vertical lines. It needs to come out a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to, I was drawing without using my pencil, but I want you to see what this is looking like. So we're going to Sharpie the skeleton lines. In black. Now notice my lines are out, get a little less at an angle, so that these two are barely at an angle, and then on this side they angle out the other way. I'm going to put a little lip on this just to fancy it up a little bit, and I can make it so I use my rectangle as a guide, but I actually make it into a more interesting shape. And we're going to cut this out, so I'm not going to even bother with erasing those. Okay, and then I'm going to do some stripes all the way down. You know, hot air balloons are often fancy colors and decorations and stuff. Okay, so this is going to be one stripe. And I'm going to make this a little bit thicker. And then a thinner one down here. Whew, that one's off. This is what happens when I try to draw straight with the marker. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to color with our colored markers. We're going to color our balloon. And because I'm slick, I'm going to make this one black, and then no one will even know that I made a mistake. So we're going to take our markers, our different colored markers, and color these so they're nice and bright. Because we want the hot air balloons to be the focal point, right, of our composition. The background and the mountain scenes are adding to it, but we really want to highlight our balloons. There, okay, I sort of fixed that. All right, so now we'll get some other cool colors out here for the rest of our stripes. Top here, I'm going to make a green area. And then you have a brown. You can do the basket in brown or yellow, or if you don't have either of those colors, you could use a crayon there too. Now, you don't have to go as fast as I am. If you want to put the video on pause and take your time with these, please do so. Okay, so there's one. Now I'm going to do one that is kind of medium. Maybe that's going to be the small. Let's see. Let's look at this. How big this is going to be. No, I think that needs to be the medium. You don't have a very big piece of paper. So you can take anything that's, you know, smaller. And the reason why we're doing the different sizes is because the balloon that's closer to us is going to be bigger than the balloons that are farther away. So I'm going to show you how to position that on your paper. Okay, so as before, we're going to hug it with some lines. We're going to do our basket. You can design a different sort of basket if you want. You can make this one different. You can design your own. Okay, so for this one I'm going to use different colors, and I'm going to make stripes going up and down. Again, we want our lines to be curved to show that volume. Okay, so I'm going to skip this one, and I'm going to do 2 blue stripes here. And then my first color I'm going to pull out here. Get my brown out again for our basket. Okay, and now we need a small one. So actually it doesn't matter if I do this upside down. So we're going to use an even smaller circle. So this one's going to be teeny weeny back in the background. I'm going to make this one aqua. I'm not going to make this one as fancy because it's further away. So we're not going to really see details too much. Now, what do I do with my brown? Oh, here it is. Okay, now we're ready to cut out our hot air balloons. And the easiest way to do this is to just cut around the outside. Be pretty loose with this cutting. This will make it easier to maneuver our paper when we're doing the real cutting. Remember, if you cut anything off, no big deal, we can always glue it. All right. Now we're ready to cut. And if there's some tight little spaces that you don't think you want to try cutting into, don't worry about it. Notice I'm moving the paper, not the scissors. That gives you more control over those curves. All right, there's one. And if you can't cut these little pieces, no fears, no worries. Just ask somebody to help you out. Sorry, my camera moved and I didn't know it. All right. Oops, I'm gonna put that over there. All the trash gets over here. Okay, so this is dry, and then we need to do our landscape, and then we're going to put our balloons. And notice that as they get closer, they come down towards the bottom of the paper, and they're largest, and then they go up, and they're a little smaller, and then they go up even further, and they're smaller than that. So we need a glue stick, and we're going to turn our landscape paper over. Make sure you get up by these edges. And then we're going to line it up with the bottom of our paper. Line it all up and then brush it out from the center out. Okay, so it looks like we need And you can use crayons if you want, but it looks like we need a little darker to match our watercolor, right? So we're going to go back over this. And I'm using just a red crayon. And then I'm going to use an orange crayon. Just to make that blend a little bit. Now we can't, because of the thin nature of this paper, we can't watercolor on it because it will destroy it. But we can get a little closer. And then I'm going to take some yellow. So we're kind of blending that line in. Or use, if you didn't go with the sunset, just use whatever colors you've used on your background to blend it in. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to work our way up, and we're going to glue on the largest balloon. Remember, it's going to go down closest to the bottom, but we don't want it looking like it's going to crash into the mountains. That wouldn't be good. Again, we're going to push. This will take a little more pressure because it's a little heavier paper. This one over and up a little bit, so it gives that idea of depth. See that one? And then we're going to do our last one. Right here and up. Okay, now I'm still going to go back over. I don't know why I'm fussing with this so much, but I'm just going to go over this a little bit more. Maybe even put some of the crayon onto the watercolor just to blend it in a little bit. There, that's getting it. Okay. So I just want to make sure that you see the whole thing. It's kind of a long paper. So there's our collage. Now you notice that this is sticking up a little bit, so you probably want to put it under something flat just to flatten it down a little bit. Do that overnight and it will be nice and flat in the morning. Thank you.